Hey there everyone, so our problem for today is move zeros to the end. So the problem statement states that given an array nums, write a function to move all zeros to the end of it. The relative order of the non-zero elements in the result are not important. So let's take a look at our input example. We are given an array 1, 5, 3, 0, 0, and 4. And we just need to move all zeros to the end. So as you can see here now, it's there. And then it states here that the relative order of the non-zero elements, so this 1, 5, 3, and 4, in the result are not important. So it can be 3, 5, 4, and then 1, as long as the 0 zeros are at the end of the array. One thing that we are told to take note here is that we must do this in place without making a copy of the array. Alright, so I think the problem is clear now. Now let's think of a solution. So one of the solutions that we can do is create an additional array, and then if it's a 0, put it at the end. If it's not, you put it at the beginning of the array. So we will traverse the entire array. However, we are told that we have to do this in place. And if we do this, it would take O of n. One way to improve this is an O of 1 by swapping all the values. So say here is our input 1, 5, 3, 0, 0, and 4. We would have an insert position. So this is where we will keep track where we're supposed to put our zeros. And then we will traverse the array from the end until the beginning. So we will start with 4. Is 4 a 0? It is not, so we will move to the next one. So is this a 0? Yes. So if it's a 0, then we will swap these two. Alright, so after swapping, the result should be like this. 4, 0. And then we will move our cursor once again, and also our insert position to the left. So our insert position will now be here. And then our cursor will now be here. So this cursor, the value that we see is a 0. So since it's a 0 again, we swap it. And then the result would be as follows. 4 and then 0. Our cursor will now be here. Alright. Our insert position will also move to the left. So this is now our new insert position. Now, is this value 0? It's not. So we will move the cursor again to the left until we reach the end of the array. So as you can see here, it is now partitioned wherein all the zeros are to the right of the array. So what are the test cases that we need to make sure that we're handling? First, maybe if it's an empty array. So this is the first one, empty array. Next, if the input is null. Another is if all the values are zeros. And lastly, if all the numbers are non-zeros. Okay, now let's write our code. And while writing our code, let's take note of all our test cases that it should be handled. Alright, let's start. So public void move zeros, and then our input is nums. The first thing that we need to do is to check the validity of the input. So if nums is null or nums.length is equal to 0, then we just need to return. There's no need for any other data manipulation for here. So next is we define our insert position. So we discussed earlier that our insert position will start on the very end of the array. So it would be nums dot length minus 1. Okay, and then we need to traverse the array from right to the left. For int I is equal to nums dot length minus 1 and I is greater than or equal to 0, we do an I minus minus. Okay, and then we just need to check if the value that we see in nums I is equal to 0, and then we do a swap. Swap, we pass nums, the I, and the current insert position. So now that we have put 0 to that insert position, we have to move the insert position to the left as well. So we have to do insert position minus minus. We just decrement it, and then that's the end of this method. Alright, so let's implement the swap method here. So say private void swap. So we receive our input array, and then int I and int j. So I and j are basically the first index and the second index that we want to swap. So to do that, it's very simple. We just create a temporary array, temporary variable, nums I, and assign nums I there. Now we assign nums j to nums I. So the value of nums j is now in I, and then finally we assign the temp value to nums j. Okay, so in this way we are basically swapping the values. Now let's do a quick test for this one. So say 1, 5, 3, 0, 0, and 4. Okay, so once we pass it to this method, the first thing we do is check if the array is valid. It's valid, so we continue. And then we define the insert position, nums.length minus 1. So the length currently is 6. So it is now at index 5. So this is our insert position. And then we will look through the array, so which will also start here. And then if we see 0, so 0, we will do a swap. So we will swap these two. So 4 will be now here, and then this will be 0. Okay, let me change that quickly. Alright, and then we decrement insert position. So insert position will now be pointing here. Okay, and then we also decrement our current index, so 0. And then we see it as 0 again, and then we do it for the rest of the array. So basically that's it. So if you have any questions, just comment down below. If you have any programming questions or interview problems that you want me to discuss, just comment down below, and see you again next time.